Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Indy,
Yes.
and Ron. Motion carried.
Good job.
Thank you. The next is planning board approve the minutes of the September 7th meeting as submitted, with following changes. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? There is one. This is not the September 7th agenda.
Oh, you've got the draft. So you want me to put it down as the,
No, that's for tonight's agenda, right?
yeah, so what?
But on the top, it said September,
It should
Oh,
say
okay.
October.
it should say October.
Oh, you mean on this agenda here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine says- So it should say October.
Yeah, that's all.
And it's the 5th as well.
Sorry about that.
October 5. I don't think that's a big concern, right? Okay. Any other changes or anything anyone needs to add? Right? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the September 7th meeting?
I'll move.
Gary, Bill? Roll call.
Karen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Bob,
Yep.
Brian,
Yes.
Andy,
No, it's not here.
Gary, you weren't here either.
Right.
And Ron.
Yes. Motion carried. Now we are on to the Babcock site plan review. And I think, Mr. Babcock, your builder is coming to the meeting?
He just texted me and said he's going to be 10 minutes late. So by my calculations, he should be there in like 6 minutes. Do you have other agenda items that you could attend to while we're waiting for him?
Yes, we have some discussion, so maybe we can get back to your site plan review after we discuss this other matter.
That would be terrific. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. We need to discuss, and you've all got pictures, and I understand Ally can fill us in from the watershed. The watershed inspectors for Owasco Lake, and fill us in a little more on this deck that apparently was built without a permit and is in violation of being below mean high water. So I'll just turn it over to you, Ellie.
Yeah, so it's, you guys had touched earlier what we were saying about mean high water level. So that's essentially a DEC jurisdiction. Mean high water level is 713.9 feet. And so that's about the average level of the lake throughout the year. It can get above or below that, of course. So essentially anything that is built within that area would require a permit from the DEC that would go for any ground disturbance or any installation such as treated lumber, as you're seeing here in this deck. So what should have happened was, of course, they should have gone to planning board. I'm not sure how that process or violation would look like for you guys, but they would have also, I would have been able to know this is pretty close to the lake. We could have gone out there and measured and flagged where that boundary is. They would have had to obtain what's called Article 15 permit from the DEC. Which may have given them a strict working period of maybe after the lake is drawn down for the winter levels and they can get in there without impacting the water, or the DEC may have not permitted it altogether. That's what their jurisdiction to decide. So I know that from the photos and from what we saw in the field, that beam closest to the lake was probably within 5 inches of the current lake level, which was about 1 foot below that mean high water level. So if we had measured it, it would have probably gone up a foot on that beam. So we can expect next summer when the lake level rises and gets to about that level, that will probably be inundated with water. I did contact the DEC. They did not have a permit in their office. So I'll have to see if they're going to try to enforce that at all. In our experience, the DEC doesn't always make them remove it, so these folks unfortunately kind of get away with it, but they could fine them if they decide that's what they want to do. And what the property is. I don't have the address in front of me. I don't know. if You guys do this. Christina and Tom Izzo.
Denman Cove,
It's a right of way,
Yeah, there's not a
the
number.
walk path
Yeah,
in
it doesn't
between
have a.
courts and,
It's a walk.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's Izzo's are the-
They're the owners, yeah.
It's like the parcel's split by the Denman Cove fire lane.
And they went ahead
There's
with
just
that
a
permit and put this up, the structure up, right?
Yes.
Okay,
right?
very good.
I know the DEP does not allow treated lumber.
Correct.
If you're gonna get a permit, they won't allow it. Contaminates the water. So I guess I had Patrick, I could try to get a hold of him again. But I don't know at the town level what's gonna happen or whether he may need some more time, maybe on this.
Mhm.
But since we have the information, I wanted the board to, anything I know, I make sure you know, so. Karen and I got phone calls from concerned citizens, and otherwise we wouldn't have known anything about it. Yep. So we will, if it's all right with the board, discuss that maybe at our next meeting. Or I can get it in touch with Patrick this week to see what we're going to do. That's Patrick's bailiwick. He's our code enforcement officer. And I don't know what the repercussions are, actually. If you build without a permit, I mean, I would think at the town level, probably something.
At least a fine.
I would
Wouldn't a
think so.
right of way, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's basically just a walk path. It's actually somebody's yard.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's just a right of way. And I wonder what's in the deed, their deed, you
I
know?
looked around in the tax maps and I didn't find a deed.
There's usually not deeds online,
Every
but
once in a while around the tax.
yeah, very
Yeah.
rarely.
Yeah.
They're available in the.
I think both of these
Probably.
Yeah.
property owners
Where?
have it.
They're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or
this,
in the
this is
county.
built for the right of way to access?
So
There's
there's,
not
there's
really a
two
right of way.
parcels that are adjacent to one another that the Izzos own right there. And one of them is off, the driveway's off of Rockefeller. So it's got an address and that they rent out as we understand it. And then the second parcel has a garage and then the walk path down to the lake. And that's where they built. So it's for that other parcel, but it's on the unnumbered parcel.
Wow.
All right.
Does,
Well-
does the town have any enforcement ability to do it? To do something?
I would say absolutely. But again, this is all up to Patrick. And in my time, we haven't really, I don't remember ever running into this before, to be honest. So I guess you just discuss that with Patrick. I can try to get him back on the phone. He seemed a little reluctant. I think he needs more time. Maybe,
He maybe didn't get to see it himself yet.
maybe not. So I mean, if the board wants me to try to get hold of him now, I'll do that. What's the pleasure of the board?
Say give him time
Yeah,
to
give them time.
look at it, think it through. yeah.
He just got back, you said,
He
right?
did. He's been gone first part of the week. Today, he just arrived back, so gotta give the poor guy some time.
Yeah.
But he'll be on it and we will stay posted on that situation. I really don't know. I mean, I've got to assume that the town's got something to say about it, someone who, I
I would
mean,
think.
people like Mr. Babcock paid what, $100 here, and what's fair for one should be fair for all, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Babcock,
I'm here.
we're at a standstill again. So
Okay.
I think maybe we'll start discussing your project.
All right, that's fine.
But
Yep,
there are a
I'll
few things we
answer as
can,
many questions as I can.
Oh.
Yeah, no, please go ahead. And thank you for putting us on your October agenda. Really appreciate it.
yes, sir. We have our, and I think you heard me say earlier, we have our watershed inspection team here. And they've reviewed your plans. And so I think I'll turn it over to the watershed team who will have some information to share with us. Okay.
Usually when we review these plans, first thing we look at are all the questions that are answered in the EAF or the environmental assessment form, just to make sure that all those were answered correctly. And one thing that we saw, which we are still trying to figure out who the point of contact will be, is in question 12B. It says, is the project site or any portion of it located in or adjacent to an area designated as sensitive for archaeological sites on the New York State Historic Preservation Office on their inventory? We found that there is actually a buffer area, and I had Jillian print out a copy of the map for you guys to look at yourself, and the entire fire lane is encased in that archaeologically sensitive boundary. We've not run into this situation before. I'm not sure if you guys have any experience with it. To know who we need to contact. We did some digging. We talked to the King County Parks and Trails office to see who they would contact. And we think we've nailed down the right group within that greater office to contact. I don't know what that period of time would be like to see if this is a concern for them. I spoke to Drew about it, and he said any project, large or small, is something that they would be interested in at least taking a look at. And I know that there's really only footings and very minimal disturbance to this project, but I think it would be a good idea to touch base with them before approving anything. And that's outside of our erosion control recommendations, but since that is kind of a big thing, I just wanted to know if you guys had any comments on that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't follow all that. There was some noise going on. It sounds as though you need to, that the project is within an area that's regulated in some way.
Yeah, it's historic. It's in the zone for historic preservation. Archaeological sensitive areas. I have a little bit of background with working with those folks. Matter of fact, when we were working at Emerson Park, we dug water lines and did a lot of work up there. We had to actually have an archaeologist right there while we were digging, and or else we couldn't dig. So if he couldn't make it, I had to shut the machine down. But that's the kind of clout this outfit has. This actually sort of bothers me because all they're going to do is auger some holes and put in some sonotubes. You know, I can turn a minor project into a major snafu. And I'm not sure what the onus is. This may have to be bounced off our new attorney. Personally, I hate to see this go to, it's just going to be a major snafu for Mr. Babcock. This is not a big deck. And they're only going to auger the holes. But my God forbid you dig up an Indian bone or. That's the problem. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure if, we sent the email or made the call, if they would just dismiss it and say it's not a big enough project for us to come out and be concerned. I don't know that, but I at least wanted you guys to have all the information.
Yeah, and it's like the buffer area is so small, so they must have found something there once in that region. Doesn't cover a big area.
No.
They do that with the bench track too.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was a huge
Woodlands.
development for
Woodlands.
Indian burial, and it was
Can I see that?
Yes.
true.
Thank you.
No. We should
We thought-
open up the top of the box.
We thought this was a piece of cake.
Yes, we did. So did Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, this looks easy, then.
Yeah, I mean, I typically would just reach out to them and tell them that it's a very low impact plan. And then hopefully I would receive a response in more than a week. But I'm sure they wanted to get this done before the snow flies. and I don't know what that will turn into.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're looking at your timeline, Mr. Babcock. And if we, you
We
know,
really wanted to get it in before
winter,
winter, because, yeah, we wanted to seed any disrupted soil around the area and make sure that that's in place before the winter comes. And, yeah, I
I suppose you could proceed with
I-
caution.
I'm
and
on
if
a
you're running
very tight
anything
timeline.
and stuff.
Has my contractor arrived, lady?
Just
I think he just walked in the door.
Okay, all right.
Okay, your contractor just got here. Well, we need you to pull up a chair over here closer. We need you to pull up, well, maybe he can hear you. But we got Mr. Babcock on speaker here.
Hi,
And your
Rich.
name is
Kevin,
Kevin,
Kevin Gulliver.
Kevin Gulliver. Okay. So we've run into a snafu already that we did not expect.
Oh, no.
It is in an area that the historic preservation, it's archaeologically sensitive.
Okay.
That's the state thing.
Yeah, and that's the shaded area you'll see.
Yeah.
And it's particularly bothersome to me because all you're doing is drilling for sonotubes, or you're just drilling holes to put some posts in. You're not digging with a backhoe, you're not digging with an excavator. I mean, you're not really disturbing a lot of soil, right, Kevin?
No, when it's all said and done, it'll look just like it was, it all gets backfilled in and, it looks like we weren't there. So we're not really disturbing much of anything.
I'm not sure what the regulations or requirements are of getting somebody on site. I know that there is a law that if you find something, you stop and you call somebody.
Yes.
I don't know if that would be against the law to recommend that. I mean, we've not worked with this at all before, so.
Yeah.
And we just got the site plan today, so I've been trying to figure out who at least to contact, and it is low impact, so I suppose there's the chance that you could just operate with sensitivity to knowing if you could come up on something. I don't know.
I know Jay Halverson, the guy doing the excavation, he's already called Dig Safe New York and it was all set as far as he knew. I mean, the posts are little 6x6 posts. I mean, we're really not disturbing a whole lot.
I know.
There's not a lot that needs to go in there either. It's literally 6 poles.
Okay.
How soon are you gonna start?
Tomorrow.
I saw the lumber.
We've been waiting a little while to get the permit. And I didn't really think it was gonna be a big deal.
Neither do
Well,
we.
we didn't either.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This just came up.
Yeah.
So what, we can build, but we can't dig holes? Is that what the deal is?
I don't know. We never worked with that office before, so I mean, there's a risk of saying, go ahead and just, exercise caution. And then if they find out later on that they didn't want you to do that, I don't know if there's violations associated with that, or if they would just overlook it. I have no idea how that works as of now.
I think I hate to do this. Maybe we could just go ahead and decide whether to accept the plan as submitted or not, pending review by our attorney. To see what the attorney thinks. I don't want to cross that state agency because I've worked with them before and they are really tough.
So we do a conditional approval.
What do you think? It's up to the board, not just me. What did you mean by build but not dig?
Well, he was making it sound like it was a digging thing, an excavation thing more than building the deck itself.
Yeah,
Right.
it is.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if, I was just curious. I mean, obviously, we really can't set the post just right on top of the ground. but-
No, right.
Would we be better off making the phone call? Or would we be better off just going ahead without contacting them? I mean, what is the ramifications there? I think maybe because of the disturbance being minimal, maybe they would say, go ahead, but then again, if they didn't, then that's gonna hold you up for.
Oh,
I mean, according to Dig Safe New York, there's nothing in the ground right there. Honestly, if we had never called you guys, nobody would even know. I mean, obviously, we did it the right way, but,
yeah, we're dealing with that already. We don't like that.
well, I know that. I was just, making a point, I guess.
Yeah, I know,
We
I
tried
know.
to do this the right way, and
Yes,
according to Dig Safe New York, there's nothing there. When we're done with our 6 post holes, it'll be like we were never even there, minus the beautiful deck on top. So,
Isn't Dig Safe mostly like utilities?
Utilities.
Yeah, utilities and
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
I mean, what else would there be to worry about right there in that vicinity?
Indian bones.
Oh, okay.
That's what the
Arrowheads,
archaeological.
If this
group is
question was
worried
marked
about.
yes, this typically goes to the state and the approval process may have been different.
yeah,
That's my
absolutely,
concern.
absolutely.
So what if there was like, I mean, I'm lost here a little bit. I mean, there could be regular, white people bones there too, or, other than Indian or Native American, whatever you want to call it. Is that a big deal, or?
This is from a historic preservation office, so it has historical significance.
Is it like a grave, like a burial ground right there?
Yeah, so based on that map, that means that there essentially could be something like that, yes.
Could be,
Yes.
Yeah, right.
That's the.
Not
debate.
saying there
They don't
is.
know.
Yeah.
And that map, that online mapper doesn't tell you what it is either.
right.
What you said.
It's just this
you
big
looked,
buffer zone.
and it like took
Yeah.
you somewhere, and then it was behind a paywall, and it was like a scientific article, and
There were,
$50 to read it.
there were surveys done for Owasco's, I think it was the sewage system that was put in because it was in that area as
Oh, yeah.
well. And I tried to look into that to see if I could read the research paper to see what, if anything was found, but it's all behind paywalls, so whatever they found or didn't
Maybe
find.
Martin and Juice would know.
I'm seeing where you're.
Is there any indication on depth of, I mean, if I wanted to go plant a garden and dig up the soil 2 feet down, does that mean I have to get approval from the Indians?
No, you don't have to get approval from the Indians. It's a state historic
whoever.
preservation, state
Is
agency.
there anything that speaks to, I assume there is, of how far you're going down into the ground that would cause some concern?
How far are we? Augur?
40 inches. That's a little frost, and that's probably pushing it because it's gonna be extremely rocky right there. Typically, once you hit, shale or that, rock bed on the lakeside, the frost doesn't get very deep, right by the lake. So typically by the lake, you don't need to dig deep. So I mean, there's times where we dig down 2 feet and you hit just pure rock and you just stop right there, it's never gonna heave after that. So
It's on a part of the property that's already been tiered, probably 100 years ago, layered,
Oh,
because it's on a
That doesn't
slope.
sound good.
So, I mean, it's been excavated.
oh, that changes
Well, are
things
you
in
up
my
here
mind.
or down here?
we're
You're down below.
down below in the flat.
Okay,
So how deep was it?
right in here.
Yeah.
So that was, Mr. Babcock, that was pretty deep that it was tiered. How deep in the ground do you think they went from original soil?
Probably 5 feet or so, I'm guessing. There are a couple of tiers, so in each tier would be about, I don't know, 5 feet.
To me, that makes a big difference already
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if there was anything
He's down
there,
here.
You got it.
Oh, I see.
Seems
Yeah,
like,
so
with,
this is-
you know, it's been excavated to a depth of 5 feet already.
and down
Yeah.
here.
Is it,
Kevin's only
Like this
going
is-
40
Like
inches.
tiers To just make flat sections.
They-
of
They've
wall?
already,
Yeah, I think it's for
removed
erosion
5 feet.
purposes, like, well, that,
it's
and
down
that
here.
whole thing was on a hillside,
Down
so they
below.
probably, yeah, tiered it out
It's
to
not
make
up
it
here, it's
usable.
down here.
Right.
Right.
They've
That's just
already
how it started
removed
when
it,
the house was
and made it
constructed.
flat.
Probably,
It is
I would
flatter
assume
than the
so, if
top
it was
one.
done
Yeah.
back then, it's probably about
Oh,
when the
yeah.
camp was built.
Try to-
Okay. As
I
long as you
know.
It's
I
removed,
know.
because there are.
I see the
terraces on
tiers.
Yeah,
state historic parks. that-
Oh, I'm sure it was done back when it was built.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that could have been 100 years ago.
yeah.
I wasn't at that meeting.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I mean, if there's like retaining walls in there, then that would.
Mhm.
There used to be another house on that lot. It burned down many years ago, but
Oh, I,
it had been tiered for that house that was on the lot at the time.
Thank you.
That's. It was in Galvano's camp, was it? He lost the camp or something down in that
I don't
area.
think so.
This is that road forward, yeah.
Cottonwood, all the way to the right.
Hmm?
All the way to the right. Cottonwood.
Yeah.
You see those
Ford,
pictures on
yeah.
your phone?
Oh, yeah,
The
sure.
tiering?
So this is the house. the
Call
first tier,
Patrick Doyle.
And then the second tier, so it's down here. Sure.
Calling Patrick Doyle, mobile.
I'm hesitant to speak for the state agency.
Patrick,
I lost you earlier. I don't know if the cell signal's any better. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
We can all hear you.
Okay,
About that.
we are in a sticky wicket here.
Okay,
The historic preservation, the archaeological determinations, it is in a buffer zone. I'm sure there have been a lot of other things built that, and I'm looking, as part of the yacht club property. I actually know soil and water dug and put in with a permit, DEC permit,
right.
retainer wall down there. What is your thought? I mean, our minutes are gonna show that we were informed about this situation.
Right, I mean, it's minimal disturbance, if they're augering holes.
We know
I
that.
don't know, I really am not familiar with that enough to, I don't ever see that, I've never seen that come up before.
Well, I'm sure that the town had to deal with it when putting in sewer lines and water lines. I mean, when we were
Right.
working at Emerson Park, we had to have an archaeologist on site or we couldn't dig.
Right, right, I mean, for a deck, I don't know what the protocol would be, Rod, do we just reach out to somebody locally? Ally and myself, and get a, run the project by them to get a green light for the homeowner, or what do we do? But I think you want to put it on record, if you want to do a conditional approval that there's no objection from from that agency, then we could do that, if you're comfortable with that.
The other thing I thought
I
about
know the
was,
guy's anxious to start, but at the same time, we don't want to do this wrong and set a precedent.
no, because boy, you're opening the town up and
we don't
Mr.
want-
Babcock
That's
and
right,
Kevin,
that's
the
right.
builder, it's
Right,
this is a tough agency to deal with. I dealt with them in my past life with
It's gonna
soil
be
and
a pain
water.
for this guy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this blindsided us. We thought this was gonna be a bing, bing,
Yeah.
it
right,
sure looked
right.
it.
So do you approve it, condition on us getting the green light from them, or a no objection from them, from that agency? Maybe that's what you want to do, because everything else is a straightforward, standard deck, bing, bang, boom.
Yes.
He's
done everything else, and Ally had some recommendations on what to do with the erosion control,
Yep.
so.
We will pass it if we pass it with condition either to see what our town attorney thinks we should do, recommends,
Mhm.
or if you can go directly to that state agency and get a determination.
Okay, I know Tom Blair is very familiar with that agency because he and I work down in Aurora.
I would prefer even if he sends me if he could send something to Lori and we can get it out to the board. A legal opinion, yep,
Like a legal opinion, sure.
Yes, sir.
I can work on that tomorrow morning with them.
beautiful.
Okay, Ron, and then that other one, I am gonna cite the owner and put him on notice because I have no record of a permit. And I'll work with Ally on that too. She's already sent it to the DEC.
Right,
Okay, good. Well, tell her thank you and thank you, Ron.
yep.
Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, Patrick, bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Give me a motion.
I think, we do a conditional approval
Right.
with our legal opinion, Tom Blair, and maybe we can turn this thing around in 24 hours, so we don't hold you up.
Okay, so what exactly does that mean, the conditional approval?
So you can't do anything,
Until we get,
So we're gonna go ahead.
you know,
But-
if he gets hold of Tom Blair
get a
tomorrow
hold of
morning,
him tomorrow.
Yeah,
And if he says, oh, I've dealt with this agency many times. And Patrick can inform him that this has already been excavated down a depth of 5 feet
yeah,
but then the town's covered, you're covered,
yeah,
and
Homeowner's
so is Mr.
covered.
Babcock.
okay,
But, you know, if it's just a situation of us waiting 24 hours, because our attorney, I've called that office, he answers the phone. So I think we'll get an answer pretty quick.
I mean,
It's
we
really
didn't
surprising that you
expect-
guys haven't had this issue before with, I mean, all the camps and all the, there's so much stuff down there where there had to been tons and tons of digging.
Well,
In
especially where
town
it's
put in
closed.
grinder
Yeah, I
pumps
mean, I don't
and
understand
sewage
how we're the
lines
first people to run into this
years
problem.
ago.
It's really strange.
all along that whole road.
I believe that the town, when they did that, had
Mhm.
experience with that agency.
If we were to check more of those boxes, those areas would show up as well.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah.
I know that when we dug it in, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What's the, specifically, what's for here, we're putting a condition on this. The condition is that it's approved as long as we get what?
We're gonna get a legal opinion from the town's attorney tomorrow. Patrick's gonna get right on it, our code enforcement officer. And he's got a lot of experience with this outfit, the state agency. So if he says, no, don't worry about it, then you get the go ahead. But if
Okay.
he says, oh,
worry
no,
about it, then what do we do?
well, then we go from there. We'll probably, well, he'll advise us, but I would think he's gonna say, okay, contact that state agency. Which, you know, I don't wanna have to do that if we don't have to. I'll be honest with you.
Who would have to contact the agency? Is that
We-
you folks or me?
We will.
Okay.
We would have Patrick and maybe we can have Ally from the watershed work with him on that, but let's first of all find out what our town attorney thinks about it, and if he's good with it, then we'll let Kevin know, go ahead, get going. That's the best we
Okay.
can do, so Can you read back
Yeah,
Andy's?
I think once I listen to it, there's going to be condition, this is a conditional approval with the legal opinion from our town attorney before the project may proceed.
So the conditional approval ought to be based on, you had some erosion control suggestions,
well-
did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
yeah,
had to
agreed.
put those in too.
I had those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the first one is more of a question, but I kind of talked to Pat about this a little bit, since I wasn't able to make it out on site today. I'm assuming there's not a driveway that goes down to where the deck is going to be built. So, question is it just going to be pickup trucks on the way down there? No like heavy equipment or anything that's really going to rough up the ground surface and,
I mean, there's the mini excavator, but
Okay.
that really does know, it's about like a lawnmower.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, so
No.
nothing crazy
No.
or anything. Okay, and then you had already mentioned that you guys plan on seeding, so just of course,
Yep,
to
it's gonna-
seed that when you can. The silt fence, I would recommend being a sediment log or filter sock.
Yeah, that's
instead.
what Jay already, somebody must have already spoke to Jay about that,
Okay.
Jay Halverson, and he was already working on that.
Okay, yeah, the shoreline winds kind of rip them apart and that's expensive to maintain. that,
Okay,
and
yeah, he-
time consuming.
I just talked to him yesterday and he said that, somebody had said that and then he had to change it out
Yeah.
to a sack instead of, the fence that he had up.
Okay,
When you stake in the stock, stake it through the middle of the sock, not on either side of it.
Okay,
common mistake that we see.
Yeah.
It's just more effective that way.
Yeah.
okay,
And then the last thing I think I have here is, so the way that the silt fence is drawn is kind of perpendicular with the parcel boundaries. Generally, the New York State recommendations for sediment and erosion control have them at a 45-degree angle instead of just perfectly straight across. So if you just could put a little bit of a slant in,
At the ends.
I kind of like drew a picture and just instead of it being straight, just kind of slanted.
Okay.
upwards.
Yeah.
What's he slanting?
The sediment
Sediment
log, so it's drawn
logs.
straight.
Gotcha.
They're recommended to kind of.
So the main length of it would be parallel with the topography with the slope. And then
just on the end.
just the ends.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
like
where's the-
8 foot of the ends.
Can I ask
goes
what
at a 45.
What the purpose of the angle at the end is for?
Yeah, it kind of encases it a little bit better, and also, they typically should be installed parallel to the contours of the topography.
Okay.
Just against what we saw in line of the topographic lines, makes the most sense, and this is what, so we go off of the New York State Blue Book, is what they
Okay.
call it for like shorthand. And they always recommend that any sediment erosion control, like a silt fence or a sediment log, has got that 45-degree angle instead of it being straight, so things can't sneak around it as
All
easily.
right. All right, that makes sense.
But that is all.
Okay, we'll add that to the conditions. Kevin, that's no big hardship, is it for you?
Well, I mean, we were supposed to be starting down there in the morning. We'd already pushed it off and tried to start other small jobs and stuff. So I mean, it's a pain. Yeah, I'm not gonna be dishonest with you, but I'll work around it. I'll make do,
We have to.
you know?
So
Have a
quick que-
second to, what's
quick
that?
Question, is the approval of the town attorney sufficient for the board to sign off? We don't have to say that we have to wait for the agency? Are we covered, I guess? Is it gonna look like we did our due diligence and once the town attorney says, okay, we're set?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe that.
But if
Yeah.
he advises
do
to
it.
contact the
Right.
state agency, then
Yeah, then
you
we're,
wouldn't proceed.
then it's
Let's
not
hope
good.
that- Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta imagine it's not that hard to get a permit for their deck.
Yeah.
Just, say, it's not that big a deal. Hopefully that would be the case.
If that's the case, nobody'd be living on that whole spot.
I'm not sure when they put those regulations in place, or
Yeah.
when those.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
Probably before our time.
If we do have to go to the agency, can we express the time is of the essence to protect the environment, and get the job done before the winter?
Yeah, we'll do our best at that. But let's hope we don't have to go that route.
Right, yep, okay, thank you.
And we gotta make sure Patrick or myself have your cell phone number, so if you
Okay.
can leave it with Lori, Kevin.
Okay, I got a card out in the traffic and bring. that
Very
for
good,
you.
very good, so we can contact you immediately as soon as we know.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Thanks for getting on top of it and whatnot.
Okay,
We have a second.
do we have a second to Andy's motion?
I'll second.
Bill is gonna second it. Roll call.
Karen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes,
and Ron.
Yes. Okay, motion carried. Well, that's where we're at for now, Kevin and Mr. Babcock. And we are gonna get a card from Kevin. And if we get to go ahead tomorrow morning from the, hopefully tomorrow morning, from the lawyer, we get a hold of Kevin and projects a go.
That would be wonderful. All right, I just want to thank everybody for your help with this. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get the green light tomorrow.
Let's hope so.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks.
very good.
Thanks, folks. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, we'll talk to you,
Yep.
Rich.
All right, bye-bye.
So you can leave that card with Lori, maybe.
Okay, I'll go out and grab that for you right now.
Yes. Any further discussion? Any further discussion or any matters that should come before the board that board members?
You're gonna keep us posted on this deck thing.
Absolutely, there's gonna be an email coming from Lori. So if we find out to the whole board.
The one that's already
One
built.
that's already built into the budget.
Oh, as soon as he goes and looks at it. I think Patrick just found that, he just found out.
Yeah,
We
he,
found out from Ron, so.
he checked his records. There's no, this individual never got a permit through the town. So Patrick's gonna keep us informed on what he's gonna cite him.
Okay.
So it goes from there, I guess.
I'll let you know if I hear anything more from the DEC.
Okay,
They're gonna cite me as well.
that's good.
as far as you're coming across that archaeological
Yeah.
sensitive zone,
Yeah.
is that something that
Thank you very much.
would have been for other
Yes.
people who've done things? I mean, would that,
Thanks, Kevin.
is that something that was right in front that you would see, or what people have worked for years doing whatever they wanted to do, wouldn't even know it existed?
They
If
wouldn't
they're-
even know.
If they're filling out the EAF, there is a
Well,
question for that.
It
Yes,
doesn't tell you how to look up the
Right, so
information.
probably
That's
most
why
of,
we always check,
most of the
right.
work that's been done there is just went ahead and they did it.
That's
Yeah,
possible.
Yeah.
I used to check it. I had an internship with the NRCS a couple years ago, and that's where I found out about it. And I always used to check it when I did environmental assessment forms. So when I came on, we started checking them, and I was like, hey, you can look it up right here. And then we've been doing that since then, but
after we
before
ran
us,
into
was
that.
anybody checking it? I don't know.
Yeah,
Personally, I'm invested in our archaeological history and the county in general, so I was familiar with it. And I tend to look at who filled out the EAF, if it's the homeowner. I tend to look at it a bit more closely because I know most people wouldn't have the experience that we have of knowing that that mapper exists.
right,
If it's the architect or engineer, usually they are aware of that software.
I
So
see.
some could have slipped through the cracks.
So the only reason that would be there is somebody at one time must have found something there, right?
Yeah, they would have some reason to put
Yeah.
that little buffer area around.
Okay,
The development at Buck Point, for example, had to go through the same thing because they're also in that buffer zone.
okay.
Could have been Indian camps along the shore, fishing camps and.
Yeah,
So,
Never know.
I really don't think there's burial ground there, but Emerson Park is rich in the archaeological facts. I know that.
back
So,
when Professor Long put that Indian village thing in there, I guess that was something that was put in there from history, knowing that there was a camp there at one time, probably, but
absolutely.
I believe the biggest pottery ever found in New York State was at Emerson Park. So it was a big development.
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, that's why we had to have that architect. Yep.
So what do you do?
And that's
Phil?
not cheap. You have to hire them.
Did you have to have a strainer or what? What was that? Just
Every once in a while, he would just stop us and really,
Oh, yeah, wow,
yeah.
okay.
And then that was what that was a job, so. Okay, if there's nothing further to come before the board this evening, we'll adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have to second?
Professor Long was buried, if you know where Logan's monument is,
Yes,
he was buried within that,
Oh, was he really?
right there where that
Yeah, the plot.
Logan's monument is. And he said that the reason he was wanted to be buried there, if you go up there and you look off to the northwest, you can see the museum when all the leaves are off the trees. And that's why he wanted to be
No
buried.
kidding.
Yeah,
How about that?
so
he
when
was.
after a few years, his wife said, well, I have a plot over closer to Fitch Avenue, right? On the other side of on the newer part of the cemetery.
Mhm.
So she said, you can move him over there with me.
Well, he's
They
not
moved him.
there anymore.
Well, he won't, he won't know.
Well, Don Poole, that I worked with in the prison, was in charge of the maintenance
Sexton,
up there, and he was the one that told us about it one day. I used to take a crew down there to about, another month or so to clean up leaves. There's 83 acres there, and all the leaves have to be raked up.
Oh, God, yeah.
Wow.
So I have about 10 convicts down there raking